Now we're going to show you a few things on the miter saw. This is considered a sliding compound miter saw. It slides, it miters, and it can bevel as well. We just typically use it for our 90s and 45s and that kind of thing. First thing you want to do before you're cutting on here is you want to find your defects on your material. So you're going to grab your piece of material, you're going to look down it, and you're going to look for a crown. And the crown is the part that goes upwards, okay, like so. Crook is the underside. So the way to do this, hold your material from the end and look down it from this corner down to this corner. And this is my crowned edge. So I'm going to mark that with an arrow, which is the industry standard. So I've established that. That is my crowned edge. Now I want to find out my convex and my concave shape. So I want to have this as this is my convex surface, so this is going to go down. So I have to make sure I have my piece down so that it's flat against the table and with my crown against the fence. Okay, then I would measure. And let's say we want to cut this to 45 inches. I'll make my line at 45 inches, just a small tick, and make an X. Then I would get it all set up, lined up, get my safety glasses on, and I'm ready to cut. Okay, so now we're ready to cut this. So let's just move some of this stuff out of the way. When you're cutting, make sure you have your left hand pushing the board tight against the fence and down onto the table. Try not to have your thumb out, okay? You don't want to cut it off, okay? And don't grab up here. It'll tend to tilt the board up on you, which you don't want. Okay, so get it lined up. Pull it forward so that the bottom of the blade, basically, if it were to come down right here, would be past or in front of this front edge. Push this little button in, and then the trigger. All the way down. Wait for it to stop, then lift it up. Then get rid of the piece that you don't want. In that case, that's shorter than 1 foot, so we throw it out. Okay, and then there is our piece that we're looking for. Okay, so that's basically a 90 degree cut on a rough piece of material that has not been milled. Little different story when you're going to a milled piece. So here we have a milled piece. Okay. It's totally straight and flat and everything already. We just have to cut it to length. So let's say we need to cut it to 16 inches. Make a tick at 16 inches. Put an X on the waist side. Line it up. Now, because it's been milled, we don't have to worry about looking for a crook and crown and concave and convex. Okay? We know it's flat because it's been jointed, thickness planed, and all that. So, line it up, left hand in place. Don't encroach on the turntable. You don't want your hand this close to the blade. Have it outside the turntable, but pushing against the fence. Don't have it too far, or there's no support there, and your piece will move away from the fence. So again, we get it lined up so that the blade's on the waist side. Take it, start it. And there you have your nice straight edge, okay, 90 degrees. And that's what we're looking for. But sometimes we're not looking just for 90 degrees. Sometimes we need to do what's called a miter. So that's going across like, well, here, I'll draw it on. It's going across like this, okay? So let's say we want to put a 45 on there, okay? We have our line at 45 degrees. Use a ruler to extend that line. so. Put our X over there on our waist side. Now what we want to do is we want to turn the saw. So push this little button in right here, loosen this knob just a little bit, and rotate it over until the orange arrow points at 45 degrees. Okay? I like to miter to the right-hand side. If you miter to the left, okay, your hands where you're holding down just get too close to the blade. So I always try and cut to the right. Tighten that back up. Get things lined up. And the same process, left hand out, back over here. Bring your saw forward, turn it on. And cut your 45 degrees, okay? And that's how we make a 45-degree miter. Okay, so that's a 45-degree miter. Sometimes we need to make a bevel, which will go across like this. So it's going across the edge, as opposed to this one, the angle's going across the surface. So to do that, we do it in the same fashion. Our saw is set up. We'll have our 45-degree marked on here. And we don't always have to do 45s, it depends on the project. We could do up to 60 degrees on this saw to the right and about 47 to the left. So, we've got it marked for 45, okay, for the bevel. We're going to hold it in place, get it lined up. Now in this one, you basically want to squeeze the piece of material. Your hand's working as a clamp, basically, holding the material tight against the fence. You don't want to slide the saw forward. You want to keep it back because this is a narrow piece. We don't need to slide it forward because the saw will have the capacity, just like this, to cut a piece that's a couple inches wide or thick. So, turn it on. And there we have cut our bevel. So we have our bevel going across the edge, okay, and a miter goes across the surface. So miter, bevel. And that's it for those. Throw that out. Next thing I want to show you is cutting a wide piece of material, cross grain. Oftentimes we'll have a wide piece of material that's too wide for the saw. The saw won't come out all the way to here. It's just not a big enough saw. So we do what's called a plunge cut. Fairly simple cut. Okay, let's mark it at, let's say we're going to cut this one to 50 inches. Make a mark at 50 inches, put your X to your waist side, and then we're going to get set up. Like so. Make sure your piece is tight against the fence. Okay, once we're lined up, we're going to pull the saw all the way forward. We're going to start the saw, slowly plunge in the material. All the way back, then flip it over and get it tight against the fence again. Then get the saw right into the saw curve. Okay, like so. Fits right in there. Left hand in place. Don't have your left hand back here. It'll tend to tilt the piece of material. Pull this forward. Start it. Finish off your plunge cut. And that's how we can do a wide cut. We can also do it on the table saw. But this is easy and convenient, so it's not a bad way to go. So that's plunge cut. Next, what I want to show you is how to cut through a thick, dense piece of material. Oftentimes with 8/4, the miter saw won't have the strength to cut through it, so we have to do it in a series of cuts. First of all, find your defects. There's my crown. Okay, so mark that. Okay. Then find your convex and concave surface. So this is my convex, so this is going to go down. Let's say I have to cut this to 24 inches or 2 feet. Make my mark, make my X. Make sure my crown's against the fence, which it is, and then I want to line up over here. But I don't want to cut all the way through this in one cut. So what I do, I use my felt pen to show it. You can see I did it over here for another demonstration. Okay, I want to cut through in quarters. So there's half, 25, 50, 75%, or quarter, half, 3/4 of the way through. Oops. Okay, so quarter, half, 3/4, then all the way through. So we'll get all lined up here. Pull your saw forward. Now the bottom of your blade should go down just to that line. Then we'll make a pass. Then we'll pull it back, go down halfway, pull it back, go down 3/4 all the way through, or all the way to the back. Then come forward, all the way down, and then all the way through. So it looks like this. Three-quarters. Now all the way through. All the way down. Nice and slow. Wait for it to stop. Lift the saw up. And we've now cut through our 8/4 piece of oak, which, you know, it's a very dense wood, and we have to just take our time in cutting it and taking it in four passes. And that's what we do with the thick wood. We don't have to worry about it on 2x4s so much, but with hardwoods, we do 8/4 hardwoods, we do need to do this. Some 4/4 hardwoods like jatoba and maple, sometimes we have to do it then as well, that we go down in a series of passes. And that's how we do thick material on the miter saw.